So, hello. Just kind of want to talk about this. Many of you probably know that I had a good, very bad past. It's not even good what I'm saying. And because of it, I've been developing some things that I'm not entirely sure of what it is. That's why I'm testing it. Like, I've been testing now for um, mainly to see what I have. So the first test it was autism, so I don't have autism, but they did see that I have a little bit of trauma and maybe have ADHD. These things are very close together. Don't get them confused. They are very close. ADHD has, you know, some aspects of not concentrating, being very hyperactive in your brain. Um, Most of the time, you can see what people just, have it physically, but many don't know it's also only in the brain and you don't see it on the outside. But when it happens, and this is where I get myself, is when I speak and try to think of something, I need to focus. So when I do it, I look up in a direction to keep myself from from stuttering, from not remembering, and sometimes I don't remember words like suddenly, and that's because I forget. And the day before I maybe used that specific word, but it just it's gone completely. So when somebody talks to you and they look up or try to remember things, it may be also because they have maybe a trauma experience or maybe ADHD. Can be also anything else. You need to ask them if they ever tested for it or if they do have something, just something that I had, um, you know, what caught myself doing while I, am thinking of things, especially that I don't know exactly if I have only trauma or that ADHD is within, because trauma can be, PTSD, depression, just lay all the things over there. I can't really name every single thing because there's so much. Like, in a human experience, you have so many things you have to look out for, especially with mental illnesses or disabilities, and it's hard to get every single thing right until you do those tests. So I would recommend people to actually do testing so that you know what to look for. Then the next thing I caught myself doing when I'm in a very stressful situation or I remember things from my past that were very bad. Um, I don't know if you can see this, uh, but I have like little spots on my arm, and you're most likely gonna see that I have bruises or at least picked some of those spots because I'm a nervous picker. Like when I have stress or when I do something wrong and I feel like I'm going to break or have a nervous anxiety attack, I will pick up my skin trying to snap me out of it, which is not the best thing you can do. But I am so used to it that it actually sometimes helps because then I'm doing something when I'm thinking about it and I don't get an anxiety attack as much as I do when I don't do it. Uh, the one worst thing about having that attack is when I was in a store and it happened and I just thought I need to go back home. I need to call my mom, and then I did. And I just explained to her while I was stroking my dog because my dog, for some reason, knew there was something up and he wants to cuddle. She just was like, "Yeah, I want some cuddle." So I just basically tried to pet her as much as possible so I can calm my situation down, which is very weird for me to do, especially at that time. I think I broke. And I also have a very much like a very angry, explosive behavior. When I have too much in my brain and and my mom just asked me, "Oh, Kid Taylor, can you maybe just do the dishes?" I will explode for no apparent like reason to her. At least she just told me to do something which is really normal, right? Doing the dishes is not that hard, or it's supposedly not that hard. You just can do it. It's just normal question. But I, for some reason, I am too busy in my head, and I just explode. Too much information. It's too much. And when I worked at restaurants, I had the same problem. Just a great thing that every time that I gone to a restaurant, this most of the time happened. Um, and also what I noticed of myself is when I isolate by myself, I rarely talk in real life to people unless it's like online, which is not real life. So it's like trying to avoid as many people as possible because I don't feel good most of the days. And many people who are watching this who had the same thing can actually know what I mean. It's not like, oh, I am just lazy today. I don't want to do anything. This is something that happens like every single day, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it because I really want to help. I really want to help my mom doing things, and it just doesn't happen, which is fucking annoying. Um, Also, what I caught myself doing where my mentors, who is specifically going to help me through things and actually help me to get a test, I'm very thankful for that. Um, they caught me like doing something very weird. I will explain it very like quickly. So I'm going to find a 24-hour home, which means I'm going to get a home for myself because I still live with my mom, which means that I have a mentor watching over me, or at least over people in, in a house. And it's like a fucking flat, like a flat. We live in it all, and they are 24 hours there to help you if there's something wrong. And that decision was because I can't live with my mom because we have this like very weird relationship. I can't really explain it that fast. But anyway, we were searching through those companies who can benefit me with those things or try to, give me some insight. And this woman on the phone just explained normally things that a normal person would if they want to know something, right? Like it's just a phone call, nothing is happening. They don't tell me what to do. They just told me what the premise was. And in that moment, I just sat there and just looked at my mentor like, no, 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 no. I just had a fucking full panic attack. And just I don't know what I think it triggered me because she said something on the lines of you have to be with other people or do some activity with other people, which I am not. Like I am a person who does a lot of things on her own. Just my thing. I'm sorry, people. I always did. I always worked alone. It's like from you know way back when it was like it always has been a younger version of myself that I always was alone. I didn't get help, so I work alone basically. And and she was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And she just, of course, doesn't want the person on the phone to, you know, to go any longer because it didn't help. It just made me so much worse. And my mother was like, "Okay, I'm sorry. I had to tell you this. My client over here, my, you know, she's a little bit overwhelmed by things. I don't think it's gonna work. I'm sorry for this," and we hang up. And I felt so fucking bad because I didn't say anything. I just did the motions like like a fucking why? Why do I do this? But because I don't want to be rude. Like I don't want to be rude to people who actually are trying the best to get me an answer or at least trying to explain things. I hate it. But Meanwhile, I just did those things, and she was like, "You just were completely in panic. And nobody told you to do anything. It's just an explanation." I was like, "I know, but why? Why do I do this?" And that's where I, got the conversation with my mentor. Like, I wonder, because they said I didn't have autism, but do have a little bit of, like, I do have trauma and maybe ADHD. Does that have like a connection? And we were talking about it, and then I calmed down eventually, but it took a fucking long time because I still was shaking while I was explaining. And I know sometimes, and this is where people need to stop, blaming people. If we know we're doing it, it doesn't mean that we can just do this and shut it off. It takes a while. Don't, like, if we explain to you that this is not good and you're like, well, snap out of it, it just doesn't. It doesn't work that way. So please, give us time to give us like the self-control back essentially, and let us just do our thing, because we know if we're doing it, to how to stop it, or at least to slow it down a bit. It sometimes it can, but that's the thing, you need to let it go. Just walk away or try to leave that person for a second. Let them get them to themselves. And if there is a time where they don't know they're doing it, don't say it right away. You eventually, or we eventually, will know we're doing it. It just takes a while. But that's my experience. I just wanted to tell you this because I've seen so many people talking about it nowadays, and I never like thought it would be great for me to tell about this thing like online anymore, because wow, it's been like everyone is talking about it right now. You're the whatever person, but it is very important. Not many people know this because they don't really have it. Or at least they don't really care enough. And if you do care, you'll find this very informative, and I hope I can help somebody with this. And just please take tests. Even though you may not know if you have it or not, even if you're like certain there is nothing wrong with you, you can always take tests. It's not that you have to, sacrifice your life for it. It's just a test. Just do it. It'll be okay. It takes a while sometimes because I'm still not getting the trauma test. But I still do it. I still get it. Just do it. Alright?